welcomes you to the following presentation of the National Football League.
For the month of December, very unbear-like weather. We're going to hit 60 degrees today, little chance of rain and very little wind here at Soldier Field. Seahawks will get the ball first. The Bears won the coin toss deferred. They want to kick it off, and that means we'll see the third-round draft pick from Wisconsin, Russell Wilson, leading the offense, led by the third leading rusher of the NFL, Marshawn Lynch, on the ground.
Man, they've got to get Marshawn Lynch going for sure. Not a good game last week, and a big part of it was this offensive line against Miami got pushed around. Real impact matchup today for Seattle, how well that offensive line plays.
Leon Washington, who had a return for a touchdown last week against the Dolphins, watches it go through the end zone from the 20-yard line. Seattle will take over against the Chicago defense.
Well, as I said, with Seattle struggling up front, the defensive tackles have a great opportunity to really control this game. Henry Melton's a terrific player. Pyatt, to me, is underrated. Defensively, Urlacher still in the middle. Going to be a big part of stopping that inside run game. Very good on the corners, but finally some production from the safety position for Chicago. Good to see.
Green 80! Green 80!
To throw on first down, complete to Sidney Rice. Short of the first down, but caught it right near the 30-yard line. Rice tackled by Charles Tillman and playing with a calf injury that knocked him out on Friday's practice a little bit early, but he's going at it.
And it's going to be a great matchup to watch. I expect Charles Tillman to really shadow Sidney Rice most of the game today as the #1 receiver. That's what Chicago does. They typically are going to put Tillman on the big receiver. As you're going to see right here, he's running over. Actually matching up to the outside. This is where you won't see a lot of them, is when Sidney Rice is in the slot.
5 defensive backs for the Bears.
Hey, 2-4, 2-4, 2-4!
Second down 1. Russell Wilson goes down. Julius Peppers. His 7th sack of the year. He had only had 1 sack in the last 4 games.
Well, I came into this game going, what's wrong with Julius Peppers? Clearly, there's nothing wrong. They line him up at tackle. Watch this power rush into James Carpenter and just flip him to his back. Line him up at end. Henry Melton goes inside, as did Julius Peppers, which puts him one-on-one with the guard and just absolutely shocked James Carpenter and ejected him to his back.
On 3rd and 8. Robert Turbin is in at running back. Complete for a first down to Golden Tate. The pocket held up for Russell Wilson.
It's got to hold up today for Russell. I think if you're the Bears, you want to close that pocket and make them throw what they call the well, and really with a tight pocket around him. Off coverage here for Golden Tate. He drives off the ball. As soon as he sees the hips of Tim Jennings flip, he comes back to the football and picks up a first down.
32-yard line. Tate and Sidney Rice go to the bottom part of the screen. That's to the left of Russell Wilson. First run of the game, Marshawn Lynch. First down. All the way up near the 45-yard line. Chris Conte had to make the tackle from his safety spot.
You know, I was shocked last week. We did the Miami game, and how the offensive line was really pushed around, not just at the defensive tackle spot, but by everybody. Here they're going to run off tackle. Brian Urlacher has a chance to make this play in the hole. Lynch sees him. See him stick his foot right in the ground there, cut back. Henry Melton unable to stay on his feet, opened up the cutback running lane. Lynch has got to get it going today for sure to take some pressure off of Russell Wilson in the passing game.
He only had 46 yards against Miami last week. That snapped a string of 4 straight 100-yard games. Gain of 13, 45-yard line, fresh set of downs. Lynch again with a healthy chunk of yardage up near midfield. He came in averaging 4.5 yards a carry. Ball's loose at the end, and they're going to say Chicago has it. Some of the Bear players were pointing, but we never saw the ball come out.
Well, here's the end of the play as Lynch is going down. Yeah, you saw the ball come out right there, but you certainly can't clearly see under that pile whether or not Lynch's knee or anything that would deem him down is on the ground. Called the turnover on the field. It's going to be hard to turn this one over, just in terms of what you could see there on the camera.
Never heard a whistle, but never saw an official react till after some of the Bear players started to react.
Yeah, you can tell the ball started to come loose right there.
You can't see his knee, though, Tim.
No, you can't, and that's the whole point. And it's Urlacher who's tearing at it, pulls it out, and because it was called a turnover on the field, Chris, you're not going to be able to go back and review this to see if his knee is down.
It's automatically reviewed every turnover.
Absolutely.
So the official booth or the replay official taking a look upstairs, but is there enough to overturn?
That's my point. I mean, I don't think you're going to be able to figure that out under review.
Find our fares online only at southwest.com.
Opening drive for the Seahawks. Ruling on the field is fumble by Marshawn Lynch caused by Brian Urlacher and recovered by Kelvin Hayden of the Bears.
Yeah, and again, because it was called the fumble on the field, there's not enough clear evidence. There's Lynch right there laying on Bears players. You can see the ball's coming out. Urlacher ripped at it. This is going to stay a turnover, I believe.
After review, the ruling on the field stands. First down.
That is the 34th takeaway for the Chicago Bears this season. They, of course, lead the NFL. Lovie Smith and Brian Urlacher saying their goal is 50.
And I'll tell you, look at that, 300 takeaway under Lovie Smith, most in the NFL. If you're playing these Bears, you better hang on to that football and really try to secure it until you hear the whistle blown. Big emphasis on that. They're tearing at it every play.
Only the second lost fumble for Marshawn Lynch this year in 133 attempts. Matt Forte for Chicago. Couldn't finish the Viking victory last week with an ankle injury. But Jay Cutler had maybe his first or best first half of football in a long time, leading them to victory.
Yeah, their tight ends, to me, have to have a big game today. Kellen Davis, and you'll see a lot of Matt Spaeth. I expect both of those guys in the game quite a bit. Offensive line, Mike Tice will protect them with a lot of runs. Expect 30 in this game, and then the fast pass. Jay Cutler getting the ball out of his hands quick before that Seattle pass rush can get to him.
So second down, 10 from midfield. Cutler sets up to throw. And batted in the air, incomplete. Knocked away by Richard Sherman. Kellen Davis was the target.
Up front for Seattle, I think you look at him defensively, Red Bryant is out today. So that is a big loss for them in their run defense. Alan Branch will move out to his spot. We'll see some Greg Scruggs, number 98 in the middle. Young linebacking core. Really, 2 second-year players and a rookie in the middle, Bobby Wagner, and then, of course, those corners. That matchup on Brandon Marshall today, and they will double him on third down. It's going to be fun to watch.
On 3rd and 10 from midfield. It's caught by Brandon Marshall. But does he have enough for the first down? There's a flag down back in the secondary.
Now, I believe they're going to get Richard Sherman for holding Brandon Marshall. Number 25. As Marshall was trying to get out of his break, Richard Sherman was very physical on him. He knew he was getting help over the top from Cam Chancellor. I think a little too physical.
Before the pass, holding, defense on the eligible receiver. 5-yard penalty, automatic, first down.
Richard Sherman, who stands at 6'3", but has a wingspan of 6.5, may have reached a little too far. And on the other side, Brandon Browner, who's 6'4". In fact, Brandon Marshall said, I'm glad those guys are going to play in this game. I like matching up against physical corners.
And that time, Brandon Marshall came out of the inside receiver position in the slot. Not a lot of big corners go in there. Richard Marshall and Brandon Browner, depending on which side Marshall lines up to, they're going to move in on the slot with him.
Penalty taking because it's an automatic first down from inside the 45. On first down, it's Forte trying to find running room and goes nowhere. In fact, his last 3 games, as Cam Chancellor makes the tackle, he is averaging under 3 yards a carry after getting off to a fast start and again nursing a sore ankle.
They're going to run these outside run plays, Chris. Watch Cam Chancellor, who's going to fly up into the screen. He's going to take out the backside pulling guard and make the tackle. I mean, this is clinic stuff for a strong safety. Bang, right there, outside shoulder free. and able to make the big tackle. That's a great play by Chancellor.
50. 180. Where is that?
Forte will maybe lose a yard or two. His third carry, he's been unable to gain anything. Malcolm Smith, who's playing for Leroy Hill, and KJ Wright on the tackle.
Well, look, you look at the last 3 games for Matt Forte, and I think it's easy to really figure out why he's struggled. I mean, Houston is an outstanding run defense. That was a quagmire, that rain game here. 49ers the next week, they are a dominant defense. They stop everybody's run game. And then he got hurt in the Minnesota game last week. Not to mention, Chris, they lost 3 offensive guards in the last week and a half.
Open to the right. Open to the right.
3rd and 11. You heard open to the right, whatever that means. They need to get to the 35 for a first down.
180. What's the ball? What's the ball?
Brandon Marshall. The ball's loose. It bounced back in his direction, and it looked like he fell on it. He did. Bears keep the football after the connection. 83 catches. Officially, that's his 82nd after the other one called back by a penalty. Here comes a flag.
I'm going to get some type of a delay of game or a taunt or something on KJ Wright.
Delay of game. Defense number 50. 5-yard penalty after the spike. First down.
So tack on after a 29-yard pass play from Cutler to Marshall, the KJ Wright penalty.
Well, Walter Thurman peels off of him, tries to get to the outside, and then you got 3 guys around Brandon Marshall. There it gets knocked out. He recovers it. That's the luck of the bounce, but really that's what Brandon Marshall does. And Jay Cutler, Chris, trusts him so much. There could be 10 defenders around him, and Cutler's still going to try to slam it in there.
Targeted 126 times.
And there's the penalty, the delay of game right there for KJ Wright.
From the 12-yard line, Cutler keeps under pressure, throws, and completes to Earl Bennett. Touchdown.
How in the world do you hang on to the ball when you get cartwheeled like that?
Jay Cutler's 14th touchdown pass of the season. Takeaway turns into 6.
Really good at these hide routes, they call them. They bring Earl Bennett from the other side of the formation. He's wide open and then just gets flipped by Brandon Browner as he punches it into the end zone.
And was able to hold on to the
incredible.
football.
Incredible.
Jay Cutler giving the signal the same time the officials did. Robbie Gould on to kick the extra point. Watch Adam Podlash. You never know if he sees an opening to get 2, as was the case the overload scheme against the Vikings last week. And of course, scoring plays to be checked, replay upstairs. We've already had an adventurous couple of series here. Seattle turns it over and the Bears take it in.
Bud Light, the official beer of NFL fans. Here we go.
Replay officials viewing the touchdown catch by Bennett, not possession, but whether when he went through the air, he was in the end zone, the ball crossing the goal line.
Ball or the hands crossing the plane, and I'm not so sure. I'm quite sure you can't tell from that angle right there as he gets flipped. And clearly as he comes down, the ball's still in the field of play. Same thing here. Really don't know if you can see from that angle if, in fact, the ball crossed the vertical plane of the goal line. And called a touchdown on the field. I assume Mike Carey will stay with the touchdown.
The ruling on the field stands to the score.
Little drama before Earl Bennett gets his first touchdown catch of this season. Former college teammate at Vanderbilt of Jay Cutler.
And boy, do they need their second receiver to stand up. And there's Brandon Marshall getting his knee looked at by the doctors. But they definitely and desperately need that number 2 wideout to step up.
Golby extra point at Chicago after the fumble. They take it right in. Bears at home with a 7-0 lead. Brandon Marshall telling offensive coordinator Mike Tice, I'm okay, after the medical staff checking him out. The Bears have scored 109 points off of turnovers this season, and that leads the NFL. Robbie Gould ready to kick it off. Kept it away from Leon Washington the first time. And he does it again. Neutralizing one of the game's best return men. So out from the 20-yard line come the Seahawks for the second time. Saturday, the UFC back on Fox as lightweight champion Benson Henderson puts his title on the line against top contender Nate Diaz. It's a full night of epic fights. Coverage of UFC on Fox 5 is Saturday at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. It's all on Fox. And from Seattle, UFC action up there. Bears with a 7-0 lead. Second possession. The Seahawks were moving the football until Marshawn Lynch had the ball ripped away. Wilson going deep. Braylon Edwards, and it's knocked away by Charles Tillman.
Braylon Edwards, to me, and you're going to see 4 or 5 shots deep. They get in a heavy 3 tight end personnel grouping, and then they run Braylon Edwards down the field. I just don't think he has enough juice left, honestly, in terms of the long speed to run away from the defender. Tillman easily was able to catch up and get the breakup.
It's a little bit underthrown, and for those that wanted Darrell Bevell, the offensive coordinator, open up this offense and throw the ball more, and that Russell Wilson can handle it, well, they've been doing that at the start of this game. This time it's Lynch on the ground with a big hole. Marshawn Lynch runs into Tillman and then powers all the way up to the 40-yard line.
Well, this is on Julius Peppers. I mean, this is just undisciplined defensive line play. Unless there was a stunt called, and I don't see anybody else stunting. It looked like Julius Peppers, all on his own, decided he wanted to take an inside gap charge. Here he is. Usually that's his gap. He goes in here, and watch how it opens up for Marshawn Lynch.
A 20-yard run.
And if, in fact, it was called a stunt and he was supposed to go in there, Brian Urlacher then is the culprit. He's got to get over the top and make that tackle.
Robert Turbin checks in at running back, carries the football, spins out of a tackle and gets across the 45-yard line. Turbin, the rookie from Utah State, drafted in the 4th round at 5'10" and bulky. Also a very good receiver.
Yeah, and I think he's going to be a wild card before this game gets over in the passing game. Not as much as a runner, but as a receiver, getting him matched up on those aging linebackers.
Second down 4.
Hey, watch this. 380. Hey, triple 55. 315. 315.
Fake the run. Wilson on the move. Flips complete to the tight end, Zach Miller, but they're going to be short of the first down. Russell Wilson, 3 straight games of a passer rating over 125. And that's the first time that's ever happened for a rookie quarterback in the NFL. And here he is pregame going through his routine.
And really works at it now. And you get out there, he gets lathered up, gets the sweat going. It's all about game simulation. Chris, when he throws off the run like that, looks like that second baseman for the Colorado Rockies just leaving the ground and throwing his whole body into it.
4 wide receivers on 3rd and 4 from the 46. Pass quick and off the shoulder pads of Golden Tate. Russell Wilson drilled it like he was throwing to home plate. Former baseball player who actually drafted in the major leagues, but excellent defense by the Bears against the young quarterback.
Boy, it's scary when you're throwing against the Bears and those balls, whether they're coming off the receiver's shoulder pad or they get deflected and they get up in the air. That's when that Bears defense just feast on getting the takeaways.
So Eric Weems, the former Falcon, once a Pro Bowl returner there. Devin Hester missing his first game since 2009, inactive with the concussion. John Ryan to boot. Fair catch called for and muffed it. Weems got back on it. We think twice the Bears have fumbled but have been able to recover their own loose football. Brandon Marshall on the touchdown drive, and now Weems, according to the ruling on the field.
Now the football gods are with him today. That ball's shaped funny, and it has bounced perfectly on both of those potential turnovers for the Bears that they're able to recover.
Seattle still pointing as if they came up with a football, and coming out of there with it for Seattle is Chris Maragos. But no ruling on the field. So this would have to be challenged by Seattle if they think they got the football. 42-yard punt, no return.
On Fox is sponsored by the all-new Ford Fusion. Go further. By This Is 40, the sort of sequel to Knocked Up, in theaters this Christmas. And by Sprint.
Ruled a muff, receiving team recovery. Pete Carroll wondering if he could challenge, and you cannot. Mike Carey saying that is not a play you can throw the red flag on. So the Bears have the football at their own 12-yard line.
Sure looked like Maragos recovered it, though, didn't it?
It did from here.
Single, single.
180. 180.
Cutler has it. Complete. Brandon Marshall across the 25-yard line for a first down.
I'll tell you, the rapport with receiver to quarterback with these two is really uncanny. I mean, I was talking to Jason Campbell, the backup quarterback, before the game, and he said Brandon Marshall, in terms of understanding, reading coverage, knowing when to stop and basically post up and be on the same page with his quarterback. Jason Campbell said it's the best I've ever seen with a wide receiver, and that was a great example of it there. Reading the coverage, stopping in the open spot of the zone, and Cutler found him.
Jay Cutler saying it's like being back in Denver where they had very productive years as Forte carries. It's got a game break. Check in with Los Angeles.
Well, a couple of other teams looking at making the playoffs side of the NFC North. Packers and Vikings going at it. Aaron Rodgers hooking up with James Jones. Nice catch by Jones. First score of the game. Green Bay's added a field goal, and they lead at 10-0 right now. Winding down in the first period. Here's from Tim.
Thanks, Kurt. The Bears will play the Vikings next Sunday on Fox. Chicago with that one-game lead over the Packers in the division.
How important is that game going to be here in a couple weeks?
180. 180.
Cutler has it and gets rid of it in the dirt. Was under pressure. Brandon Marshall, who already has a couple of catches in this game, the target.
You know, interesting in talking to Pete Carroll yesterday, I said, what are you going to do on Brandon Marshall? He's the #2 targeted wide receiver in the NFL, the most targeted guy on third down, clearly Cutler's go-to guy. He said really nothing special. I mean, a lot of what Brandon Marshall does is underneath in terms of the short to intermediate passing game. He says he feels good about his big, long corners on him. He said, what about third down? He said, that's when I think we'll see a different combination of double teams, like right now on Brandon Marshall.
3rd and 10. Sherman's lined up against him. Cutler flips to Forte. Matt Forte with a first down. If you're just tuning in here at Soldier Field with Tim Ryan, Chris Myers, we're glad you're watching the NFL on Fox. Seattle got the ball first. They were moving near midfield. Urlacher takes it out of the arms of Marshawn Lynch. Chicago recovers. 34th takeaway this year, leads the NFL. And then Cutler to Earl Bennett for the touchdown, and it's 7-0.
What a great play call that touchdown was by Mike Tice. Caught Seattle in a free safety blitz with Earl Thomas coming off the edge. Earl Bennett wide open.
You got 54. 180. 180. There you go, Matt.
Forte. Running room just short as Bobby Wagner brings him down on the 45-yard line of the Bears. Forte prides himself on being a durable player, so he wanted to get back in there. Disappointed he couldn't finish that game against the Vikings last week. He's thought of as a quick healer, as now Michael Bush checks in, giving Forte a breather.
Yeah, short yardage. 2nd and 2, Big Bush, 2nd and 3. The 245-pound complimentary power back comes into the game.
You guys got those two. 180. 180.
But Cutler sets to throw and completes into Seattle territory. That's Rodriguez, the rookie fullback. A crisp-looking game plan from the Chicago Bears.
I'm telling you, after the 49er game, Mike Tice went and looked at that tape and said, we got to change our offense. We got to get to the fast passing game. They didn't have any of that dialed up for San Francisco. The pass rush destroyed them. Watch them over the last couple of games on tape, and they have certainly changed their attack in terms of the quarterback getting it out quicker.
180!
Michael Bush carries on first down. Bet hard. That Seattle defense up front when it comes to rushing the passer, Tim. They're a different team when they're on natural grass, and the grass is as thick as it is here in Chicago.
And you know, I made a mistake in the open in terms of the lineups. Red Bryant is not out of this football game. Pete Carroll told us yesterday he'd be very cautious with him. Didn't think that he would dress. Lo and behold, the big fella's in there with a foot injury. It should give him a big boost if he can hold up.
It's been bothering him for the last month. Plantar fasciitis, some form of a foot injury, and he was a game-time decision.
54
But slow moving compared to that turf they play on in Seattle. On second down. Passes high, but Marshall goes up and gets it right at the 40.
Really a nice job. Patience by Jay Cutler. He's going to read this guy. As soon as Earl Thomas leaves to go cover the flat route, Brandon Marshall's just going to turn around and use that big body out there on Brandon Browner. It's just awesome to watch he and Jay Cutler cerebrally, Chris, on the same page.
Jay having Earl Bennett as college receiver, Marshall from Denver, Jeremy Bates back as quarterback coach from Denver. Very comfortable here in Chicago. Third and short.
Easy, Teddy.
Forte is back in. Somebody flinched. Do we get a whistle here?
I think Matt Spaeth may have flinched the extra tight end.
Offense number 89. 5-yard penalty, still third down.
So now you got a 3rd and 6. It was on Matt Spaeth. Had a touchdown catch, his first of the year last week for Chicago. They're at the 43-yard line of Seattle. Bears' only 3 losses have all come in prime time, losing to Houston and San Francisco in a Thursday night game against the Packers, who they will play in 2
What's
weeks.
interesting, Chris, about that is all versus 3-man lines, 3-4 defenses, 3 D linemen, 4 linebackers.
You got 50.
Clearly, Seattle's a 4-man front. They've had some nice success so far.
Cutler's going to run and get the first down. The average is about 6 yards a carry.
Well, and this is where Cutler is underrated. The blitz is going to come from here. He sees man coverage down the field. He takes off, and look at him run by and then shake down Bobby Wagner, excuse me. That is impressive. Nobody gives Jay Cutler, in my mind, Chris, enough credit for his mobility and to really hurt you if you decide you want to play man coverage on him.
Inside the 37 of the Seahawks after an 8-yard run and a fresh set of downs. The opening quarter winding down. 10th play of this drive.
Run this one.
Cutler has it. Marshall does too. They are in a zone, and that is the end of the opening quarter. It may not be fair weather, but it's Bear football. Takeaway, touchdown, and 7-0. Fox NFL Sunday will continue after a break from your local Fox station. Bears start the second quarter from the Seattle 24-yard line. It's 1st and 10.
If they take a shot here.
Forte with a carry. Trying to get through the hole. Gets down inside the 20-yard line. Brandon Marshall dominating that first quarter with 4 catches, good for 63 yards.
Well, I'll tell you what, Seattle better figure out how to change up their tactics and how they're covering him and attacking him. I mean, Jay Cutler is smoking hot. You see those passing yards, 95 for Chicago. Cutler 7 of 9 in the game, and Seattle's playing off soft zone coverage against them. That's just not going to work. Brandon Marshall's body's too big. He's just going to drive down the field and turn around, and it's pitch and catch.
Marcus Trufant inactive with a hamstring. He'd be a nickelback as Forte carries on second down. It'll bring up 3rd and short. The Seahawks have been unable to get much of a pass rush going against Cutler.
And I'll tell you, if you play physical bump and run coverage like Seattle is accustomed to doing on Brandon Marshall, that's going to really force Jay Cutler to hold the ball longer, Chris, which is going to allow and help the pass rush to get there.
facing a 3rd and 2. Seahawks have not taken the ball away as much, especially on the road, as Pete Carroll would like.
54.
Forte has it and knocked down right at the 15-yard line. Looks like it's going to be 4th and short. That yellow line is a superimposed estimation, and you can see there it is 4th down for the Bears.
I think the Bears are going to line up all their heavy guys and try to go for it here.
Crowd loves it.
Bring in all the extra tight ends and fullbacks, and
James Brown, backup lineman. With Kellen Davis, Matt Spaeth for Lovie Smith. We're going to get a measurement here just to give them time to see what they need. Bears scoring off a turnover. Cutler to Earl Bennett for the 7-0 score.
Tell you what, I think Mike Carey could see from the sideline that wasn't even close and probably didn't need a measurement. But I think he helps out head coaches and offensive coordinators on a big 3rd down like that down in scoring position, which really allows them to make their mind up, kind of decipher, Chris, what they want to do, whether or not they want to go for it or in fact kick a field goal.
So that's where they need to get to. It looks easy from here. Michael Bush will be in to carry the load unless Jay Cutler keeps it.
See if they run the off-tackle play to the left.
54.
Same play they scored with 2 touchdowns in short yardage last week.
It is Bush. Met hard. Never really got the force of momentum.
This looks like it's going to be short again. If this is, and what a huge stop for Seattle after that long drive.
And where they put it down, it's short. Sure, they'll bring out the chains again. This could be a tipping point early in this game.
No doubt.
Seattle. But you liked the call going for it.
I did.
Bears with the lead, with the momentum. And the football.
No way.
But the Seahawks defense on 4th and inches comes up with a major stop. Seattle takes over on offense, trailing here in Chicago.
Sponsored by Miller Lite. It's not just a good time, it's Miller time. By Jared, the Galleria of Jewelry, with 5 times the selection of ordinary jewelry stores. And by The Hobbit, An Unexpected Journey, in theaters everywhere December 14th.
We welcome you back.
The previous play was not reviewed by the instant replay team because it was not a change of possession that's designated for the booth. It's only a team's challenge. Please put 12:48 on the game clock.
Our referee,
12:48 on the game clock, please.
Mike Carey, working the clock. And here's a look. Remember the backup guards. 2 new starting guards in this offensive line. No push.
No push at all. And then, I mean, give credit to the defensive front for Seattle. Look at the linebackers. Phil on the fullback. That was outstanding. And then Michael Bush, look, 245 pounds. Get your pads down. Put your helmet down and get that yard.
Seahawks defense does the job. The Bears pass up a 33-yard field goal try and turn it over on downs.
380.
Russell Wilson floats one down the sideline, and it's hauled in by Rice. There was excellent coverage, but it was dropped in there beautifully.
Yeah, great throw. Beats good coverage. Nice arc ball by Russell Wilson. It's going to be the matchup we see all day long. Look at Tillman adjust in really good shape. Never turns to find the ball. It just goes right over his helmet. Perfectly placed for Sidney Rice.
And James Carpenter battling a knee injury out at left guard. Chris Conte battling the flu at safety for Chicago, in and out of the lineup. So Anthony Walters has been inside. On 1st down after a 28-yard gain, Russell Wilson keeps and gets across the 47-yard line. Lance Briggs, the Bears' leading tackler, coming off a nagging ankle injury making the stop.
And I really believe, and that's the zone replay by the quarterback, I think we're going to see a lot of bootleg quarterback keepers, getting Russell Wilson out on the edge, misdirection plays. I think the thought process, Chris, is get that Bears defense moving one way and then counter back your game the other way. Challenging their change of direction with those aging linebackers.
Drag it. Blue 80. Blue 80. Set.
Russell Wilson is going to have to get out of the pocket, floats it to Lynch. He got something out of nothing as they swarm Lynch. We remember lost the fumble in the opening quarter. He's short of the first down.
He never panics. Henry Melton gets really good pressure on him, able to grab his jersey. Russell Wilson is just so poised for a young player, keeping his eyes down the field. Urlacher's bearing down on him, and he unloads it to Lynch.
We referenced to Fran Tarkenton's style because of his scrambling and his height at 5'10" and 5'8", but it was Pete Carroll who looked at Robert Griffin III video earlier this year, studying to explore some options using Russell's running and throwing ability anyway to make his rookie better. On 3rd and 2. Golden Tate in the backfield. Wilson floats a pass. It's incomplete. Zach Miller was covered by Brian Urlacher.
And you're not going to get Brian Urlacher with mental errors and thinking one thing and beating him with some sleight of hand plays. No way. Here's Urlacher all the way over here. Zach Miller is going to get out here, and Urlacher's all over him. Look at him. He just turned, plants, goes. Russell Wilson should have tried another option. He wasn't even close to being open.
So John Ryan to punt as the sun breaks through here in Chicago. Earl Bennett comes up, and Eric Weems looks like there's nobody back to return. He's at the 30-ish and running backwards. Looks like they had a block on, and well done at the 5-yard line. Jeremy Lane catching the punt on the fly. A 44-yard boot with no return. So far, 7-0 Chicago. Bears take over from their own 5-yard line at 1st and 10. Their last drive, 73 yards, 14 plays, 8.5 minutes, but they failed on 4th and inches. Michael Bush the back. He gets the football and gets 1.5 yards. The Packers, who are chasing the Bears in the NFC North, have a 10-7 second quarter lead over Minnesota. The 49ers, who the Seahawks are chasing in the NFC West, have a 7-0 lead in the second quarter in St. Louis.
And both of those teams, depending on how this thing finishes
depending
up,
on your view,
will all factor into really how the playoff seeding works.
50, Liz.
Here with 5 games to go.
What is it?
Cutler from his own end zone for Marshall. Catch made, stays in bounds.
Well, Jay Cutler knows. Brandon Marshall knows where he's going here, matched up. So he's just going to wave the defender by. Watch this, whap, and come right back. It's pretty easy for Jay Cutler and Brandon Marshall to hook up on that route. Marshall feels the receiver playing him over the top. Upfield, Cutler sees it. Marshall puts the brakes on again. It's pitch and catch.
A 19-yard gain. Digs the Bears out of the hole. On 1st down, Cutler to throw for Marshall out of bounds. He felt the pressure. Remember, it was Brandon Marshall who said, I'm glad that Browner and Sherman are able to play through this game because I like going up against big physical corners.
And here's the size. I mean, this is the biggest cornerback duo in the history of the National Football League. And then, of course, Brandon Marshall, who's as big as both of them. I tell you, you look at those two corners and with that looming possible suspension if they're out. I mean, to me, this is a must-win for the Seattle football team because without those two corners out, what they mean to this defense, if in fact they're suspended, might have to kiss the playoff opportunity goodbye.
Michael Bush carries and has a hole. And has a 1st down. That offensive line with Gabe Karimi, his first ever start at right guard, and Edwin Williams over the other guard spot, creating some room.
And they catch Seattle in a blitz. And when you do that, you need either the linebacker or the safety over the top. to be in the hole that they just left from. That time it was Cam Chancellor who tried to get up there on the run stop. He slipped and fell down, which opened up the running lane.
Bush, one of the more productive backup running backs, over 370 yards rushing in a reserve role. He stays in on 1st and 10 after he picked up 12. Cutler avoiding the rush, and open is Bennett. Earl Bennett cannot hold on.
Boy, what a missed opportunity. Brandon Browner just loses where he is on the field, and Earl Bennett runs away from him. Cutler sees it, unloads it for the touchdown, and Earl Bennett can't hang on to the football.
I know it was awkward, Tim, but the sun is out in Chicago in December, and he may have looked back into it. Not an excuse, but just something to take into consideration here.
I think you could catch that one blind. It hit him right in the chest plate.
2nd down, 10. Big play missed by Chicago.
180.
Cutler has it, tipped, and still caught at the 45-yard line. Marshall like a magnet.
Well, his hands are so darn strong. He's always been a hands catcher. He plucks it right out of the air. And watch here as he goes and gets the tip ball. You're going to see Browner try to slap it out of his hand. No way with those strong hands by Marshall. Watch this. Whap! Look at him try to drive down and break the arms and get the ball out. Marshall just no way is he going to let it go.
Chris Clemens tipped the ball, but they still get 7 out of it, so it's 3rd down and 3.
Hey, 5 down. 180. Listen. 187.
Pass is incomplete for Bush. Strong rush by Seattle forced Cutler to get rid of it. K.J. Wright came in on him.
Well, Brandon Marshall in a little stack set here is going to try to clear this thing out, take the cornerback deep, open it up for Michael Bush. Accurate throw would have been an easy 1st down. The rush really forced Cutler to get it out too soon.
Yeah, Jay only has 4 receivers that are active with Hester and Jeffrey out. Eric Weems in it as a receiver 4 that he can count on in this game today. So a 4th down punt situation. Leon Washington has it. Across the 15. Now at the 17-yard line. Bears have a 7-0 advantage. There is a flag down at midfield.
During the kick, the low block, number 55 of the receiving team, half the distance to the goal, they retain possession. 1st down, timeout.
Penalty on Heath Farwell of the Seahawks special teams play. That'll put them in a hole, and they trail here in Chicago.
Sponsored by AT&T. Rethink possible.
Well, that was an awful call on Heath Farwell. Watch what happens here. Blake Costanzo rips him by the face mask right here to the ground, pulls him down, and then trips over him, and they call Farwell for a chop block.
That call over Fishes, but from just over the 5-yard line. 1st down, Russell Wilson to Marshawn Lynch. Nick Roach, who doesn't get him a lot of attention on that defense, involved in a swarm of tacklers. He came in with 38 tackles, plays only about 50% of the time on defense.
I'll tell you what's amazing about this Bears defense is I don't think individually they've got the physical, real Pro Bowl talent with electric athletes like they had. I mean, with these linebackers getting old, Tillman getting old. But their experience and how they play and their understanding of what offenses are trying to do to them, they're a step ahead of the opponent mentally, which allows them to play great team defense.
2nd and 9. They'll run it to Lynch again. And it's Roach on the tackle to bring up 3rd down. They need to get across the 15-yard line for a 1st down.
Tell you another thing is because everybody wants to throw the ball at Chicago. They see 39, 40 pass attempts per game. Their D-line rotation is alive and well and cranked up. Shea McClellan comes in. Israel Adonijah comes in. I mean, a bunch of different guys coming in play for this Bears defensive line. They keep them fresh. Nate Collins as well.
across the 30-yard line. A clutch connection from Russell Wilson to Golden Tate.
Well, he's just going to flash inside and then just sit in between Briggs and Tim Jennings. I really believe when Lance Briggs gets up at the line of scrimmage, they call it a mug look, where he gets up in between the center and the guard and challenges like he's coming to blitz, and then tries to bail and get to his zone landmark. That hurts Chicago sometimes. It did there.
From the 30, after an 18-yard pickup, Wilson to throw again, and has Tate again, who falls forward for a pickup of 5. Let's check in on the Packers and Vikings. Here's a game break with Kurt.
And you know it's Christmas time because we got a Rudolph sighting for you. Nothing like butchering the line right when you get ready to do it, isn't it? Kyle Rudolph, touchdown for the Vikings, and a little Lambeau leap as he finds 2 Vikings fans. Calgon, take me away. Chris.
It's okay. You deliver the line. You have a small amount of time to deliver the line, Kurt. We hear you. Second and 5. Russell Wilson to Sidney Rice, who has a lot of room on the sideline. He has a first down just short of the 44-yard line. Sidney Rice, the leading receiver of the team. 6 touchdown catches this year. Golden Tate also with 6 touchdown grabs.
Yeah, a little razzle-dazzle. Tight end split out wide. Really to be a blocker. McQuiston pulls out and then really gets the key block in sealing Corey Wooten, which opens it up for Sidney Rice.
Russell Wilson is 8 of 11. And we still have 4 minutes to go here in the first half. They mark it at the 43-yard line of Seattle for a first down.
Slow 5-5. Green 80. 5-4. Go. Green 8. Shut.
He had nowhere to go. It'll be second and 10.
I'll tell you, Russell Wilson's got to change his snap count. Anytime he gets to the line of scrimmage and he starts changing plays, his cadence, he's got to figure out how to get it changed up. I think young quarterbacks, they get into a rhythm, and it becomes obvious and transparent to the defensive line. I think clearly last week Miami had a beat on it. Their defensive line's ability to get off and anticipate it was certainly a weapon for them. We just saw the same thing from Chicago. He's got to change that cadence up.
They did not turn the ball over on the road in a close loss in Miami last week. Marshawn Lynch carries as Russell Wilson tried to carry out the fake. It'll be third down. An early takeaway by Chicago, their 34th of the year, set up the only touchdown of this game. Seahawks 1-5 on the road. The one road win was at Carolina.
Yeah, and they're toe-to-toe with everybody on the road, too. I mean, those 5 losses, an average of 5 points within 1 score in every one of those games on the road.
Robert Turbinen on third down.
Sunday! Oh, go!
Pass. Tate has it. Golden Tate. He might go. He won't get in. Down at the 5-yard line. And it looked like Brian Urlacher kept him from getting into the end zone.
Man, it looks like Tim Jennings wants offensive pass interference for Golden Tate, waving him by right there. Just a little push in the back with the right hand. Look at Urlacher. Big fella still with that straight line speed, saves the touchdown.
A 49-yard catch and then carry. And Urlacher hustling downfield. So it's inside the 5 of Chicago.
And I thought that was a good no call on the offensive pass interference that Tim Jennings wanted on Golden Tate.
First and goal. Well done. Marshawn Lynch. Touchdown. Seattle Seahawks. The Seahawks, who have played here in the regular season the last 2 years and won those games. Last year, Lynch had a couple of touchdowns. Didn't have a lot of yardage, but he gets into the end zone here, where an extra point will tie things with 2:15 to go in the first half.
And they couldn't have blocked it up any better. You're going to see a nice block here by Moffitt, the kick-out block on Peppers. Marshawn Lynch. Easy touchdown for him. Not going to the ground.
Hauschka's extra point. A couple of defensive teams that are ranking at the top of the league in a 7-all game. Lynch with his touchdown run.
Gave the offensive lineman the credit for the blocks for Lynch to go in. But watch Doug Baldwin out here. Doesn't have a lot of catches this year, but his impact will be felt on this play. Terrific block on Kelvin Hayden, which also helps open things up for Lynch to punch it in.
His 6th touchdown run of the season. He has all of Seattle's scores on the ground as Hauschka kicks off to Eric Weems, who is going to bring it out. Goes in the air, but he's knocked out at the 15. Cam Chancellor with the special teams play. Seahawks tie up Chicago. 2:09 to go in the half. Tim Ryan, Chris Myers in Soldier Field. The Bears with a 1st and 10. All 3 timeouts for both teams from their own 15. Cutler to throw for Bennett. And it's tipped away at the last moment by Earl Thomas, who came over from his safety spot.
That was a great throw from Jay Cutler. Really was. Earl Thomas, just so much range. His speed, when he gets in the middle of the field, and the beauty about having range as a free safety is you don't have to line up in no man's land 35 yards off the ball.
And he felt terrible about the penalty that was called last week that gave Miami another chance to get a touchdown. Later, he was fined for that hit on Ryan Tannehill.
He's so fast, Chris. You can line him up closer to the line of scrimmage. He still has the range to get over the top deep.
Cutler scrambling around. And he's going to have to keep it. And Thomas makes another play to take us to the 2-minute warning. The Bears will be facing a 3rd down. Chicago can't get it. Seattle could use a timeout. Hope for good field position. We're tied at 7. Cute kid. Good to see at the game. It won't be his last. He'll be a big star when he gets to school on Monday. And outnumbered here, but there's always a 12th man for the Seahawks somewhere.
Huge down here for both teams, really.
3rd and 6 from the 19. Cutler has time. And Marshall has it, but short of the 1st down. That's the 7th catch of this first half for Brandon Marshall. The Seahawks will quickly use a timeout. They'll have 2 remaining with 1:44 to go.
And wisely, as you said, with everything's changed since that 4th down stop. They were getting roughed up, and the game has changed, and now Seattle has all the momentum, it seems like.
Check on the injured player coming off the field for the Chicago Bears. Jonathan Scott, one of their linemen. Saturday, the UFC back on Fox. Vincent Henderson, Nate Diaz, a full night of epic fights. Coverage of UFC on Fox 5 beginning Saturday, 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific from up in Seattle. Next Sunday, the Seahawks will be playing the Cardinals at home. And that could be bad news for an already beat-up Chicago offensive line. We'll check on that. As Podlesh is back to punt, standing at his own 11-yard line. Leon Washington will wave everybody away, and it kicks out of bounds somewhere between the 35 and 40-yard line. Russell Wilson will have 2 timeouts to work with. And decent field position to try and unsnap this tie. Chicago scored first. The Seahawks have answered, and they have the football.
Great day of action in the NFL.
Including
the
Detroit
Lions.
and Indy and Tom Brady and the Dolphins and a whole lot more.
A whole bunch more.
On the Visa halftime.
And we will be in Sarasota on the 29th for a big revival. 2 shows.
Terry will be at the Chuckle Hut in Marina Del Rey. All right, the Vikings lead the Packers 14-10. Nearing the half, you'll see highlights of that on the 49ers up 7-0 on the Rams as they are 21 seconds before half. So all that's coming up on the Visa halftime highlights. 2 timeouts remaining for Seattle. They spotted at the 37-yard line, and Russell Wilson, who celebrated his 24th birthday on Thursday, the 3rd-round draft pick out of Wisconsin, and celebrated it by spending time in the film room. We talked about both of these coaches openly discussing playoffs with their teams. They'd be in today with Green Bay right now trailing, that's how they would match up.
Absolutely. If the playoffs were today, this would be the matchup. This would be the 6th seed being the Seattle Seahawks against the 3 seed, the Chicago Bears.
But work to be done here in the great city of Chicago, where Pete Carroll has won the last 2 regular season trips that he's been here with this Seahawk team.
Hey, Sunday. Ready! Go!
Leon Washington gets a carry. Trying to run some clock off, see what they do with the field position, short of the 39-yard line. Marshawn Lynch with 51 yards rushing on 7 carries and the touchdown run. Washington stays in and running back. Russell Wilson throws to him. He tries to put a move on, but is brought down by Urlacher.
It's going to be a horse collar on Brian Urlacher. Really a nice break here for Seattle, stopping the clock and going to get some extra yards.
And a first down.
Personal foul, horse collar, defense number 54. From the end of the run, 15 yards, automatic. First down.
It's only the 2nd penalty on the Bears. So after a 6-yard gain, tack on the 15-yard penalty all the way up to the 40. As Bryant called for the penalty. Leon Washington stays in at running back.
Keep an eye on Doug Baldwin at the top of your screen.
From the pocket, Wilson batted in the air and almost incomplete. Leon Washington off of his shoulder pads. Russell Wilson is firing the football, but Briggs was right there with him.
Well, if you're going to fire the football in this underneath coverage, you better get it down on the belt buckle, because if that ball pops up in the air, it is like a piece of meat for these Bears dogs with it up in the air. Seriously, watch this ball pop up in the air off the shoulder pad, and you already see Briggs taking a peek at it, trying to go get it. You throw underneath versus that zone coverage, you better get it down. If they do drop it, it goes straight to the ground.
From the 40, 2nd and 10. Leon Washington straight up the gut. Gets inside the 35-yard line. Clock runs at 55 and counting. 2 Seattle timeouts. 3rd down, they need to get to the 30.
Hey, big hole! Big!
Some confusion from Baldwin in the slot. Crowd getting in the way of the signal calls here. Russell Wilson's throw is hauled in by Baldwin. Whatever confusion, they cleaned it up in a hurry.
He's got to call a timeout.
And they used a timeout. They'll have one remaining. A throw of 22 yards from Russell Wilson to Doug Baldwin.
And he's just going to take it vertical on Kelvin Hayden. And look at that separation right away. The outside release. Russell Wilson sees it, throws it up high enough with arc over the head of Kelvin Hayden. And Doug Baldwin with a big-time play at a critical spot in this game.
And not an easy throw. There's Darrell Bevell, clean-shaven. Used to seeing this Bears defense when he spent time in Minnesota as an offensive coordinator.
Well, they got a great feel for how to attack this defense. And Rod Marinelli, the defensive coordinator, we all know his history. And when he was down in Tampa, where there's Rod there with the glasses, with Lovie Smith, and Monty Kiffin was down there. And Pete Carroll was trained in this defense with Monty Kiffin. He knows it very, very well, the ins and outs of it. And then you said it with Darrell Bevell being in Minnesota, really having to attack it. So got a great feel schematically how to get after Chicago in their scheme.
And despite a rookie quarterback, they said it's a no-limit offense for Russell Wilson. Robert Turbin, the rookie running back, is there. End zone throw wide open. He had Zach Miller, but overthrew him.
Well, you got Craig Stelz out here at safety, and watch Zach Miller. He's just going to run the corner route. It is wide open. And Russell Wilson got excited. I think that ball came out a little early, and it just flew on him and sailed up in the air.
Craig Stelz in for Chris Conte. We mentioned battling flu-like symptoms, who did start the game, but has been in and out of the lineup.
Yep.
On 2nd and 10.
Watch Zach Miller again.
Russell Wilson floats it into the corner and out. It'll be third down. 16 seconds and one timeout for Seattle.
I think Zach Miller was wide open again. I could see it just from the coverage shell.
And Turbin was open on the left if you got it to him quickly.
And then there's the corner route again. Look at, there is nobody around Zach Miller. You just got to wonder sometimes, Russell Wilson at 5'10 and a half, 5'11", if he's really got great sight lines, Chris, when he's trying to throw from inside the pocket.
From inside the 14-yard line, it's third down. Russell Wilson keeps, throws on the run, end zone, and did he come up clean? Braylon Edwards dove forward, touchdown, Seahawks! And Russell Wilson, his movement made it happen.
Well, and he's fallen down as he's throwing this ball, which is amazing. Watch him as he's gonna end up really peeling out to this part of the pocket, or towards the line of scrimmage there, falling down. Throws it, and then the long arms of Braylon Edwards. Looked like he had both hands under the football. This will be a great look at it here. Yeah, it looked like both hands under the football. Called a touchdown on the field. This one's going to stand.
18th touchdown pass of the season as they review upstairs, of course, on a scoring play. A 14-yard touchdown toss on 3rd and 10.
Look at that ball as he's falling down and throws it and gets enough arc on it just so it can carry to the end zone. That's a better look at it there. Did that thing touch the ground before his hands were under it?
I don't know if you could clearly tell. Indisputable evidence. It's almost like a court of law beyond a reasonable doubt. But ruled a touchdown on the field. So you have to see something strong enough if you're going to overturn it.
This angle here, it clearly looks like both hands with those blue gloves were between the pigskin, the leather football, and the grass in the end zone there.
And he possesses it as he turns over with the football.
Hands under the ball. Oh man, it does not get any closer than that. It does not get any closer than that.
Sometimes the movement of the nose of the football, but you can't necessarily say the ground would cause that if your hand is underneath the ball. They're showing it here for the Chicago Bear fans. We know how they want to rule this thing. We've already had the one fumble which was debatable with Marshawn Lynch, where it wasn't as clear, but it was a takeaway. And they took the touchdown. Bring in our rules analyst, former head of officiating for the NFL, Mike Pereira, with Tim Ryan, Chris Myers. Mike, your view of this?
Well, we all look at here. We actually do not think he has possession before the ball is on the ground. And to me, that shot looking in at it shows that the tip of the ball is on the ground between the hands. I think if I'm there, I actually reverse it to an incomplete pass. You see the tip of the ball on the ground at that point.
Yeah, but
here's the look right here. Here's the look, Tim. When you look at it here, and when you run it just a little bit further, you're going to see the tip of the ball on the ground.
After review, the ball hit the ground before the receiver got control. It's an incomplete pass. So they make it 4th and 10 on the 13 on the left hash mark. The clock is good.
Braylon says, wait a minute, I had my ring finger under it.
Well, Mike Pereira described, and I think it's watch how the ball goes upward there. That's to me. There's not enough there to overturn that, Mike. At least from the way we're seeing this, but it has been overturned by Mike Carey. So Stephen Hauska is on to try a 31-yard field goal. No touchdown for Braylon Edwards. 15 out of 18 this year, has not tried a field goal the last 2 games. He slips that one through. And Seattle gets points out of it, but not the touchdown. After trailing 7-0. Seattle has come back now and has a 10-7 advantage with 5 seconds remaining in the first half. Two teams that would be in the playoffs, if they think they should be in the playoffs. We thought it'd be a low-scoring throwback style of game. Your thoughts at this point?
Well, it's been that. I think a couple of things. Russell Wilson, to me, has been terrific. There's no question about it. His high level of play continues to really be on full display. And then if you're Seattle, you got to go in here at halftime, at least as far as I'm concerned, and figure out how you're going to stop Brandon Marshall and some of that underneath coverage. Again, a big first half for him, and he's been the biggest problem. Jay Cutler having time to throw. They got to get tight double coverage on Brandon Marshall and the underneath stuff. Otherwise, it's too easy for Marshall and Cutler.
Brandon Marshall, 7 catches for 94 yards. The only touchdown was Cutler to Earl Bennett following the only turnover in the first half. That was the fumble recovery. Kelvin Hayden coming up with it after Brian Urlacher stripped it from Marshawn Lynch. Chicago has really dominated this football game. I think the main tipping point was that 4th and inches when they could have gone for a gimme field goal and Michael Bush couldn't get the first down.
Yeah, I fully agree with that. Give Seattle credit. They were stiff at the line of scrimmage. Michael Bush has got to get his pads down to get that half a yard. But it's been a different game from a momentum standpoint ever since that 4th down stop.
5 seconds remaining here as they squib it to keep it away from Weems. Again, Devin Hester inactive for this game with a concussion. Earl Bennett has the football. And that will end the first half. Chicago will get the ball to start the second half, trailing 10-7 to the Seahawks. The Visa halftime report is coming up after the break. Seattle leads it by 3 at halftime.
Live for the NFL. You'll love NFL Network. Wake up with NFL AM. Total access, live coverage of every team, every day. Go beyond the gridiron with a football life. Start your game day with NFL Game Day Morning and 13 games of Thursday Night Football. This is football 365 days a year. You want the NFL? Go to the NFL.
Getting ready to start the third quarter. The Bears will receive the football. I'm sure they send each other in the locker room, Tim. Hey, we've played well enough. We should be leading this game down by 3. What about Seattle on defense with Jay Cutler? They haven't been able to get to him at all in the first half.
They haven't, and then that's got to get better. They got to get their 4-man rush going so they can keep an extra guy in coverage on Brandon Marshall, whether it's been man coverage or zone coverage. The soft coverage isn't working. So they've got to get that fixed, but they have slammed the door on the run game. Forte's not even averaging 2 yards a carry.
7 catches, 94 yards for Brandon Marshall. And what about Jay Cutler engineering things with the run game? They've used Forte and Michael Bush effectively.
Well, it's going to be a tough road to hoe running the football for sure with Forte. Seattle has shown up today with their stout run defense. They got to get their tight ends involved. I mean, missed opportunity, the big one to Earl Bennett, which, clearly if he caught it would have been a touchdown. Brandon Marshall's been terrific. Matt Spaeth and Kellen Davis have got to get their game going. Seattle can be vulnerable versus good tight end play.
Follow your favorite team all season long. Go to itunes.com/NFL. We mentioned the weather, not much wind. It's in the high 50s. The sun has poked through. Unbear-like weather.
Feels like October 1st here at Soldier Field, not December.
And the 3rd straight year meeting in Chicago for non-division opponents. They've also met the playoffs where the Bears held the upper hand the last time as Eric Weems will get this on the run. And hit hard. Here comes a flag, and he stays on his feet to the 20-yard line. Only 3 penalties called on Seattle in the first half and only 2 on Chicago.
They're going to get a hold here. You see field judge coming in.
Holding number 37 of the receiving team. Half the distance to the goal. They retain position. First down.
Called on Anthony Walters. That'll back up the Bears to start the second half.
And I really believe, again, to the tight end play, and neither Kellen Davis nor Matt Spaeth have a whole bunch of production, but the way Seattle plays, which is with those 3 deep principles, 1 safety in the middle of the field, the 2 corners up playing hard press. It's a lot of opportunities for tight ends to get matched up one-on-one on outside linebackers and safeties. They've got to step up their game.
Jonathan Scott is back in at right tackle as Matt Forte carries from the Chicago 9. Let's check it down on the field with Jamie Maggio.
Thank you, Chris. Well, a lot of time spent underneath the replay hood in this game. Pete Carroll taking time to talk to Mike Carey before heading into the locker room at halftime. I asked him what the conversation was about. He said there's no way that you could have seen where Braylon Edwards' hands were in the replay. He does not feel that the call should have been overturned. I asked him about the pressure on Jay Cutler. He said we're not even anywhere near him. We've got to change that here in the second half. Back up to you, Chris.
Thanks, Jamie. On second down 5. Cutler for Marshall, who was hit right away and knocked down after he made the catch. Brandon Browner from the corner spot. 8th catch of the game for Marshall, who has had 2 games this year where he's caught a dozen passes.
He, to me, is a top 3 receiver in the NFL this year. I mean, A.J. Green is playing great in Cincinnati, but hard to really mimic what Brandon Marshall's done in terms of his numbers. You know, it really felt like Chicago dominated that first half, but in reality, you look at those total yards, and really since that 4th down stop by the Seattle defense, their fortunes have turned. They've been able to move the ball offensively.
3rd and 3. They need to get to the 20. Cutler, quick toss and low pass for Marshall. It'll be 4th down. He finally gets knocked down, and that's Bruce Irvin, the first-round draft pick from West Virginia, who came in with 7 sacks but has been in a dry well lately.
And coming from the top of your screen, you saw Jonathan Scott tried to chop him, get him off his feet. Irvin wasn't having it. That is the first time that Jay Cutler has actually been hit and knocked down while standing in the pocket.
You often talk about Pete Carroll and his halftime adjustments. Of course, last year, Seattle pulled out a game here. Different personnel, but rallied to do it. Leon Washington, not much of a chance as that sails out of bounds. Adam Podlesh's punt will be spotted at the 45-yard line. Excellent field position after Seattle's defense does the job.
Southwest Airlines. Find our fares online only at southwest.com. By Charles Schwab. Let's talk about giving your portfolio a better chance to grow. Talk to Chuck. By Ram Trucks. Guts, glory, Ram. And by Microsoft Surface.
Tim Rye, Chris Myers back in Chicago. Earl Bennett, who has the only touchdown in the game for Chicago, still in the locker room being evaluated for possible concussion. First down Seahawks from their own 45, and Marshawn Lynch carries. Lynch had the only touchdown for Seattle on a 4-yard run. His 8th carry, 54 yards. He was held to 46 last week in the loss on the road at Miami.
I'll say this, the Bears better start getting that extra defender up in the box at the snap count in terms of a safety and load the box with one more defender than Seattle has runners and running backs, because Marshawn Lynch is not getting touched in the backfield. That guy gets to the line of scrimmage untouched. He's hard to stop.
G-toe, C, 315.
Breno Giacomini stood up when he shouldn't have.
False start. Offense number 81. 5-yard penalty is still second down.
Called on Golden Tate, the receiver, who is the leading receiver in this game for Seattle with 4 catches.
I'll tell you, pre-snap penalties have killed Pete Carroll's football team all year long. They're the worst in the league with false starts. And last week against Miami, big problem early. They got it cleaned up. They've been okay today, but that now putting them in second long and long is an issue.
So 2nd and 11 here. Bears threaten pressure. It's picked up. Russell Wilson's throw, and Sidney Rice hauls it in, falling to the 41-yard line again with Charles Tillman right with him.
Well, and that's the problem. When you want to pressure your linebackers, you open up those throwing windows. And here Urlacher blitzes, so Roach is going to come inside the seam route to Sidney Rice. It's good coverage, but there's an open window and a very good throw from Russell Wilson.
And not enough can be said about how Russell studies the video for a rookie, the extra time, even on the plane ride home. He's texting receivers, giving them notes about the next game, the next opponent. After the 14-yard gain,
they take a shot to Golden Tate.
He had Lynch open short, but he's pointing deep and trying to outrun Melton. Henry caught up with him. It was Henry Melton who said there's no pacing in a game like this, not with Russell Wilson running around.
That's why you got to keep your motor juiced up and ready to go. And if you're a defensive back, you better stick on those receivers in that scramble drill. There was nowhere for Russell Wilson to go with the football. As soon as he breaks contain, watch the secondary, Chris. They get on those receivers and get physical with them.
From the 41 of Chicago, that penalty, then those scrambles, so second down 9.
Hey, see. They gotta go 5-4. Green, 15, touch.
Marshawn Lynch will lose yardage. Lance Briggs led the charge. Now it'll be 3rd and 10.
Where you don't want to be against this experienced, seasoned Bears defense. They've been a dominant team all year long on 3rd down defensively.
Russell Wilson's throw is incomplete. Sidney Rice was in the area in a 4-wide receiver set.
Well, I think if you're Sidney Rice, you need to adjust to your quarterback and break this thing off and run a square in rather than the go route. He's got double coverage on him, Briggs underneath, and then the defender over the top. I believe it was Major Wright.
That's maybe where that height disadvantage for the quarterback worked in the favor of the defense. John Ryan, who's been a weapon punting the football, keeping it away from Weems. Drops it inside the 5, where it is marked out of bounds. Right at the 5-yard line. Hitting the Bears back to their own end zone, and there's Russell Wilson going over things with his receiver. Saturday from Seattle, the UFC on Fox. Light champion Benson Henderson going up against contender Nate Diaz. A full night of epic fights. Coverage of UFC on Fox 5 begins Saturday 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. From the 6-yard line, Jay Cutler from his own end zone completes to Rodriguez, the fullback, who is dropped right away. Now comes Smith playing for Leroy Hill, former USC Trojan, making the tackle. But remember, no Earl Bennett, so Eric Weems was in as the other receiver with Brandon Marshall.
And really stresses Chicago's receiver core. You see Weems there, and they only have four receivers active today, with Devin Hester being out with a concussion and now losing potentially Earl Bennett. Again, just highlights to me the fact that those tight ends are going to have to step up in the passing game.
Matt Forte carries. It'll be 3rd down. He stopped short of the 10-yard line. No catches for the Chicago tight ends in the game today. Of course, Brandon Marshall has 8, and Earl Bennett has the touchdown catch. Former Ohio State Buckeye Dane Sanzenbacher, who has been inactive in 8 of the 11 games, but last year when there were injuries at receiver, he was worked into the lineup. Cutler became a little bit more familiar with his route running. On 3rd and 7.
Mixed bag evaluating this offensive line. No good in blocking the run today. Pretty good versus the pass.
And there's time for Cutler, who's going to go deep but overthrows Marshall. There were 3 Seahawks hovering in the area. There's a flag down back inside the 5-yard line.
Illegal hands to the face. Defense number 51. 5-yard penalty, automatic. First down.
No, that's a killer on Bruce Irvin.
A huge penalty. Otherwise, they would have been punting from their own end zone. Now, the Bears get a fresh set of downs.
And here's the rookie out here. Let's just watch the hands to the face on Matt Spaeth, the tight end. And Mike Carey was all over it.
Jay Cutler mentioned to you how he thought this thick grass, that this Seahawk defense was so much slower on this than on the turf they have in Seattle, the artificial surface, as Matt Forte carries. It'll be 2nd down.
I just think it's going to be a tough challenge to continue to try to run the ball.
Look at them going at it here. I mentioned UFC, and there they go.
At the Seattle front. I mean, they are salty today, and I think they were embarrassed at how many yards they gave up versus the Miami Dolphins on the ground last week. And then you look at Chicago, they've lost 3 guards in a week and a half. Spencer, Lance Lewis, and Shiloh Ray Shaw quit. It's a big challenge. I mean, Karimi's in there playing guard for the first time in his career.
Lance Lewis was the best lineman and playing the best in his career. Injured reserve on the Jared Allen block. He was later fined for. Cutler is dancing around and will take off running and sliding short of the 24-yard line.
And they're going to get Alan Branch for piling on.
Now that might have been a tough one though, because Cutler was moving upfield.
Well, here's how the rule works. Did the slide start before contact became imminent? And there it looked like it did. Looked like Jay started his slide before Alan Branch.
Defense blow to the head on the quarterback slide. 15 yards, automatic. First down.
And that's tough if you're a trailing defender in pursuit, as Alan Branch was there. But as soon as he gives himself up, and that's immediately when the quarterback starts to slide, if you haven't started your process of tackling or hitting him yet, they're going to call it every time.
And you played defensive line here in Chicago.
Not under these rules, Chris. I don't know if I could have played like this.
Another tough penalty last week. The call on Earl Thomas against the Seahawks gave Miami an opportunity to get a touchdown. As Forte carries on first down, Bobby Wagner leading the team in tackles at 90. The rookie linebacker making the stop. And Earl Bennett, Jamie Maggio telling us from the Chicago bench, Earl Bennett is done for the day. Didn't come out of the locker room. And thin at receiver, Mike Tice will have 3 that are up active in this game to work with. At the Chicago 40 on second down 8, there's Eric Weems at the top of your screen. More of a return specialist than he is a receiver. Cutler gets rid of it, but he's a receiver here.
Well, I think first thing, Jay Cutler, if he's going to throw it down the field, he's got to get protection. And a little play action. They even got the blitz coming. Good pickup by Forte. He gets the protection he needs just enough as he's getting hit and delivers a strike to Weems, who goes and catches it in traffic with Richard Sherman draped all over.
Jay Cutler with a laser 18-yard gain.
Plays are never dead, Chris, with his lively arm.
He has it and has time. And just floats it towards Marshall, who got to the sideline and made the catch. Talk about a casual connection.
Oh, what the heck? Just toss it up. Maybe my guy will go get it.
He goes from a laser to a floater. And the 9th catch for Marshall.
And that's the thing about Cutler in terms of his lively arm. He can throw from every platform. His feet never need to be set. He can sidearm it out there. That was a prayer that was answered.
Forte carries with room. Driving inside the 20 down to the 18-yard line.
That's the best run of the day for Matt Forte.
It's a first down Chicago. Nearing the 5-minute mark here in the third quarter. Brandon Marshall over 100 yards receiving today. Pete Carroll's defense can zero in on him even more with Earl Bennett out. That catch by Eric Weems in this drive was only his 2nd reception of the season.
Line open! Line open! Come on, come on! Hey! Raise it!
Cutler. Incomplete. Weems was in the end zone.
Well, that's just a smart decision by Jay Cutler, who clearly saw defenders in front of and behind Eric Weems and just tossed it away before he got hit. You got to keep Cutler healthy. I mean, we all know his value, Chris, to this football team. So I got no problem with him getting rid of the ball if he senses there's really no chance to make a play from inside the pocket.
Pete Carroll had about something. Maybe it's still the Braylon Edwards catch. Ruled a touchdown overturned in the end zone right before the half. 2nd and 10 from the 18 of Seattle. Forte. It'll be 3rd down.
That's the same play they just had success on. Forte's biggest run of the game a few plays ago, just to the other side. That's the beauty, I think, of Mike Tyson breaking down their tape, is he is a play repeater now. A lot of offensive coordinators, well, we ran it once, maybe we'll get back to it later. Mike Tyson will dial it up 2 plays in a row. He'll skip a play in between, and he'll go right back to the play that worked.
3rd down and 4 for the Bears.
No, you got him. You got him.
Forte has it. Touchdown. No. He rolls into the end zone, but he is marked. The official ruled him down at the goal line.
Well, and that's the right call. They get the matchup they want. Bobby Wagner, the middle linebacker, out there on Forte. You see Brandon Marshall run the underneath slant, opens up the window, and that's a good call as Forte was down before the ball crossed the plane. Very good play design, though, and Jay Cutler was all over it.
It'll be 1st and goal. You see the Bears, they all had their arms up right away. And Lovey throws the challenge flag. He wasn't touched until after he slid.
There's the point. I mean, and this is going to be a touchdown, I think, Chris, because he was down, the knee was down.
The runner was short, being challenged by Chicago.
He was short, but he wasn't touched, I don't believe, as he pushed and rolled himself or kind of scooted himself into the end zone.
And by the time Bobby Wagner got over there to touch him, let's see. Ruled no touchdown, but it's being challenged.
The runner was across the goal line when he was touched before the score.
And here it is. I mean, you can see Wagner as he's about 3 yards away from Forte. Forte catches it clearly down before the goal line, but nobody touches him. Earl Thomas just steps over him. And look at Brandon Marshall and the decoy that he is. Opens up the window, and Browner going inside with him. Earl Thomas holding over the top in the middle just long enough where it opens up that nice throwing lane for Forte.
So for the Forte family, touchdown, Matt Forte. And Chicago with the extra point has the lead. 11 plays, 94 yards on the drive. Remember, they had to dig out of their own side of the field deep. Took up nearly 7 minutes and had the big penalty to help the drive. But Matt Forte and Jay Cutler have Chicago in front. Tim Ryan, Chris Myers, Jamie Maggio. Hope you're enjoying December football in Chicago. The NFL on Fox. Bears trying to keep that one-game advantage in the NFC North. The Vikings lead the Packers by a point in the 3rd quarter. The Seahawks currently in a wild card spot, looking up at the 49ers in the NFC West. San Francisco leads the Rams 7-2 in the 4th quarter. But an impressive drive down Devin Hester and Earl Bennett. And Matt Forte, the receiver, for the touchdown, as Leon Washington will not get a chance to return here. Brandon Marshall over 100 yards, and he may shatter Bears receiving records like touchdowns. He comes in with 8 so far. Also in yardage, number of receptions with Marty Booker. Some of the great Bear receivers of the past, and Marcus Robinson already over 1,000 yards. He could shatter all those records.
Yeah, I think he shatters the reception number record. I think he shatters the yardage record. It's going to be that touchdown of 13 that's going to be hard for Brandon Marshall to overtake.
Seattle on the spot now, trailing by 4. Russell Wilson will go low to the fullback Robinson, and he'll pick up 4. It looked like Seattle's defense had the Bears stopped, but the late hit, the penalty advance.
Well, the Bruce Irvin face mask was the big one, hands to the face.
And
remember that?
Yes.
And then the branch piling on the quarterback as Jay Cutler slid. So 2 key penalties that really hurt Seattle. And then the prayer throw from Cutler to Brandon Marshall. I mean, as I said earlier, if you're those corners, Richard Sherman, Brandon Browner, you better stick to your guy, because Cutler's lively arm, that play's alive till the whistle blows.
Green 80. Green 80.
Wilson in trouble. Thrown down by Stephen Paya. As Brian Urlacher said, our spy is our 4 guys up front.
Absolutely, and I'm telling you, it's good coverage down the field by the Bears on defense. Here, Tim Jennings on Golden Tate. Locked up, not a lot of area to operate. Sidney Rice, 2 linebackers underneath, the safety over the top. Tell you who really started that sack, though, Henry Melton. Terrific rush. Forced Wilson out, and then Paya cleaned him up.
It'll be 4th down. Chicago defense taking hold of this game after their 2nd sack of the game, and then forcing the incompletion and the pressure on rookie quarterback Russell Wilson. Here's Eric Weems, receiver and return man today for Chicago, and John Ryan, who the Seahawks have been counting on. That's where the Bears will take over on offense. They have a 4-point lead, but their defense is making it difficult on the visiting Seahawks. It's been a physical, as you always expect, at Soldier Field kind of game. From the 41, 1st down Bears, and Cutler sets up to throw for Brandon Marshall. He couldn't hold on. Would have been his 10th catch of this game.
Cutler is just wicked how he can unload that ball from anywhere and slam it into that tight spot.
Now 15 out of 24 for Cutler. The Packers have gone in front of the Vikings. It's 20-14 as they near the end of the 3rd quarter. Bear fans watching that. Next week, Chicago at Minnesota, then home with the Packers. 2nd and 10 for Tang. It'll bring up 3rd down. Excellent field position. The ball was juggled a little bit, but he held on. Yeah, the Seahawks tried to take it away at the bottom of the pile, but no call from the officials.
Right, and Mike Tice, look, more success with Forte certainly here in the 2nd half running the football, and it's been that same run, the power off tackle where Roberto Garza gets out and pulls. That time Seattle sniffed it out and shut it down.
15 carries in the game for Forte. 46 yards, does have the receiving touchdown.
Lexi. Yep.
On 3rd and 7. Bears don't want to miss the great field position opportunity. Cutler on the move, and he gets the 1st down.
Now they're running double coverage on Brandon Marshall with a linebacker and with the corner when he's in those tight splits. It's these 2 guys, Bobby Wagner and the slot corner out there, Walter Thurman. But Earl Thomas is going to be embarrassed when he sees this. Jake Cutler just just shakes him right down. That is a huge 1st down for Cutler with his legs.
50-50. 180.
Cutler sideline throw, and that should be offensive pass interference on Marshall.
And it is.
Richard Sherman might have had a chance at the interception.
Pass interference. Offense to the 15. 10-yard penalty. Still 1st down.
And I will say this, if you're Jay Cutler, that's why you trust Brandon Marshall. Not only that he's going to go up and get it on a decent ball, but if it's a badly thrown football and underthrown like this one, he's going to protect you and go play some defense.
A smart play by Marshall. You don't want to give Seattle a takeaway here. And that's what Marshall ended up doing, playing defense.
Absolutely.
Remember, Richard was also Richard Sherman, a former receiver at Stanford before they moved him to corner. He always says, when I see the ball, whether I'm a receiver or a corner, I think it belongs to me. So after the penalty,
Slush, come on.
first and 20. Forte carries. And that will bring an end to the third quarter here at Soldier Field. The Bears trailed at the half, but a Forte touchdown catch has them in front. 14-10 as we go to the fourth quarter. 6-5 Seahawks. Pete Carroll. Last two games on the road at Miami and Detroit. Fourth quarter, his defense did not do its part, and leads have slipped away.
Now, that's the question to me. Even playing from a trail position here, down by 4, can they step it up and change their fortunes? Last two road games, Chris, they've given up 17 points in the fourth quarter in each of those games defensively.
2nd and 19 for Jay Cutler from the Bear 43.
180.
Forte underneath. Brought down at midfield. It'll bring up 3rd and about 12. And Jay Cutler, who has played well in this game, is a much better second half quarterback. And look in the fourth quarter, when you talk about a passer rating, nobody better. And in his career, he's capable and has had many comebacks, but here protecting a 4-point lead.
Do not measure Jay Cutler on his touchdown to interception numbers this season, because frankly they're not very good. His impact in determining wins and losses when he's available for this team is obvious.
They're going to run with Forte, and the Seahawks will force, as Alan Branch makes the tackle, a 4th down. He still didn't like the penalty call on the slide of Cutler. But setting up for the punt after the defense of the Seahawks forces a 4th down, and had it early, if you missed it in the first half, a 4th and inches, a stop on 4th down of Michael Bush that kept the Bears from getting points. The view from the punter, Adam Podlash, and Leon Washington. No fair catch, but he goes down right at the 10-yard line. A 40-yard punt without a return. 24-year-old rookie Russell Wilson, who's played on this field when he was at Wisconsin, will lead Seattle in a moment.
Sponsored by Samsung Galaxy Note 2. The next big thing is here. By Bud Light, the official beer of NFL fans. Here we go. And by Burger King. Come celebrate 55 years of the Whopper sandwich at Burger King, where taste is king.
First down for Seattle from its own 10-yard line. Marshawn Lynch carries. He has the only touchdown for Seattle today. And on his 10th carry, 55 yards. Just 20 yards in the second half of offense for Seattle. They haven't had the ball much. Golden Tate with 4 catches. They seem to move well when he was getting the football in the first half.
Well, you said it. They haven't had it much here in the third quarter because of those penalty-aided long drive by Jay Cutler. It ended with a touchdown.
Russell Wilson keeps and slides for a first down. But no flag here, not yet anyway, as he slid into a couple of Bears at the 25-yard line.
Well, the Seattle sideline wanted a hit in the helmet on a defenseless player, Russell Wilson. Anytime the quarterback crosses the line of scrimmage as a runner, he's fair game anywhere on his body unless he starts his slide. You're going to see Russell Wilson run off. Now, right when he crosses the line of scrimmage, you can hit him like a running back. And it looked like he started to slide and did get hit in the helmet. Maybe the Seattle sideline had a legitimate point.
After a gain of 11 on 1st and 10, Wilson is going to run again and slide again, short of the first down. Now, he doesn't mind running, as he has said before. Do you think these are by design?
I don't think that was a design to run at all. I think the pass rush was so quick with those defensive linemen getting an edge and getting penetration upfield that Russell Wilson knew he had no chance in the pocket.
Last week against Miami, he had an NFL rookie record of 16 consecutive completions, one short of the Warren Moon Seattle Seahawk record. 13 out of 23 today. Lynch. It'll be 3rd down. Lance Briggs has only missed 4 games in his 10-year career. Missed some practice time with the ankle, but said, I'm not missing this one. In on the stop, and it'll bring up third. They need to get to the 34, a little beyond the 34-yard line, so 3rd and 1, we'll call it. The fullback, Michael Robinson. Seattle with a fresh set of downs and still some pushing and shoving going on in and around the football.
I'll tell you, Michael Robinson has been a nice weapon for Seattle over the last couple of years. And the unsung hero, they're going to turn and hand him the ball here. Look at the offensive line, they'll get good push. I mean, that's really the key. You see all those white jerseys going forward and all the dark jerseys going backwards. Michael Robinson's a nice player here for Seattle, highly valued.
Marshawn Lynch on first down with nowhere to go. A swarm of Bears. Negative yardage when he carried last week. Hurt Seattle in a number of situations.
Well, they just get Marshawn Lynch going sideways. Watch the defensive front for the Bears and the push that they get. And they're all slanting that way. I mean, it started with Shea McClellan out on the edge at right end, slanting to the right. All the other D linemen followed suit. That was the defense that was figured out on the scouting report this week, having a good beat on where they were running the ball.
They fake it to Lynch. Russell Wilson runs into him and has to throw near the 40. Baldwin made the catch but got drilled. And Charles Tillman delivered it. It'll be 3rd down.
I think one thing about Russell Wilson as a scrambler, and he's very effective when he gets, out of the pocket and crosses the line of scrimmage. But in terms of just pure raw speed to outrun guys when he gets spilled out of the pocket, you don't see a lot of that.
Terrific leap by Baldwin. And impressive that he was able to hold on after that hit. From the 40, it's 3rd and 7. They were ready for the scrambling of Russell Wilson on that play, and the Bears force a 4th down punt attempt. John Ryan, who's been busy and very reliable, with Eric Weems standing inside the Chicago 10. Beyond the 20-yard line where the Bears will take over on offense. They have a 4-point lead. Their defense is making it stick. Flyers in Chicago, 8:49 to go in the 4th quarter. The Seattle defense has been unable to sack Jay Cutler. With Michael Bush in the game, Chicago 1st down. Bush gets the carry and has room. For a 1st down across the 36-yard line.
You see old Power getting both guards out in front and then watch him run through Bobby Wagner. I mean, if you're tackling that 245-pound beast, Michael Bush, and you're Bobby Wagner, you better try to get your head in front and put your body in front of him. Otherwise, he's just going to pull away from it.
54.
A 15-yard gain.
180.
Bush again. A healthy chunk of yardage. Let's get a game break and check in with Los Angeles.
Well, after going 10 of 21 with 3 picks against the Cardinals, Mark Sanchez has been benched. In comes Greg McElroy. First possession, released him to a touchdown. 1-yarder to Jeff Cumberland. 7-3 Jets up in the 4th quarter. Christian Tim McElroy, the number 2 quarterback, because Tim Tebow is inactive today due to injured ribs.
Thanks, Kurt. That's the Seahawks' next opponent. The Cardinals travel to the Pacific Northwest next Sunday on Fox. Second down, 6 Chicago. Trying to milk the clock to protect the lead. It's Bush. An extra effort. It'll be third and short. You know, Brandon Marshall having over 100 yards receiving. The Seattle secondary had not allowed a 100-yard receiver in 20 consecutive games, which was the longest streak currently in the NFL, and that has come to an end as Bush
looked like he was grabbing at his chest. Michael Bush. Yeah, you know what? Brandon Marshall does it to everybody. That's really all there is to it. It's a fantastic talent. You love having Michael Bush in this situation as he just came off the field. I mean, when you need to grind it out and run the ball and chew clock with a 4-point lead, love having a big complimentary power back.
Third and 1. That's Marshall in motion. And a timeout call by Jay Cutler. Bears facing a third and short here.
Further.
After the Bears timeout, third and inches. Matt Forte. First down, Chicago. I mentioned a game of inches, and Tim, it's been that kind of a game in a number of different ways. The touchdown ruled and then overruled, taken away from Edwards. Earl Bennett's miss on the long pass, the fourth down gamble. Marshall held from short of the first down and missing, that's more than inches, and then moments ago on a key third down to keep the ball and keep the clock running, Forte.
A great block by Evan Rodriguez out there on the side.
The rookie fullback from Temple.
Smashing down the edge and opening it up for Forte.
An intense look from the 44 of Seattle. Forte carries again with the 1-2 punch. 18 carries for him. Michael Bush has had 7 in the game so far.
I'll tell you, the running game success is really upticked for Mike Tice there, the offensive coordinator, and his Bears offense here in the second half.
And Gabe Karimi, again, his first time he played guard, whether it was high school, college, was last week in a fill-in situation. Got the start at right guard, Edwin Williams at left guard because Chris Spencer and Lance Lewis out injured.
I think Karimi's got a huge future. I really do. He hasn't been very good this year out at tackle, but I don't think his legs have been right all year, Chris, trying to come back off that big knee injury last season.
Somebody move for Chicago.
Ball start. Offense number 73, 5-yard penalty. Still second down.
The call on Jamarcus Webb at 6'7" is hard to miss.
He's massive. He's been up and down. They've given him all season long in terms of his pass protection. Now they've given him some help today with the running back chip and the tight end. But look, give these guys credit across the board. Their offensive line. Seattle has got a sack in every game this season. So far today, they've barely had a sniff of Jay Cutler even trying to hit him when he's in the pocket. Credit to the O-line.
Second and 14. The ball's bobbled. Cutler picks it up and goes down. Bobby Wagner tackled him, but quick recovery by Cutler. It'll be third down.
And he just dropped it as he's turning around to do a play action fake right there. He looked like he was going to hand it off to Evan Rodriguez. Either that or he put it out for the fake, and Rodriguez ran right into it and knocked the ball out.
Seattle does not have a takeaway. Seahawks use a timeout. Bears facing a third down. Third and 21. Seahawks can still try to get in range. Or I should say the Bears for a field goal. Instead, the Seahawks have to deal with Forte, and it'll be fourth down. Cam Chancellor came up and made the stop. Kind of a conservative call, given that Robbie Gould was hitting from 55 and longer in pregame warmups. But a 4-point lead with just over 4 minutes to go, and the Bears will line up to punt to Leon Washington. Golden Tate has also dropped back. Not as deep as Leon Washington. To try and maybe protect the sideline from Adam Potlatch. Hits
job by Zach Bowman.
Not exactly maybe how you planned it, but it accomplished what the Bears needed to get accomplished.
It really saves him about 18 net yards here. Watch Bowman, doesn't even see the ball. Now he does, locates it, bounces right in front of him. And again, the Bears have had one of those days where the ball has really bounced in their favor today. Went right into his hands, and he was able to down it. He's helped down it inside the 2-yard line.
Second best in the league when it comes to kick coverage, week in, week out, year in and year out. Dave Tome's special teams units, excellent on kick coverage. 2 timeouts for Seattle. From the Seahawks 3-yard line. Wilson for the tight end that just missed Zach Miller. You can call Star NFL to download NFL Mobile now and get coverage of every NFL game. That's
Star NFL.
And get coverage of every game. Packers leading 23-14 in the fourth over Minnesota. The Rams and 49ers are tied at 10.
Boy, be very careful here. If you're an offensive line, you better hard set on the line of scrimmage and not retreat. You get a holding call here or a penalty, it's going to give Chicago 2 points.
If it's in the end zone. Peppers jump. Here's a flag. Pass to an open tight end, McCoy, who is flipped in the air.
Love the hard count tactic down inside the 5-yard line. The risk is worth the reward.
Offside defense in the neutral zone. Penalty is declined. Play result, first down.
So good effort from Anthony McCoy.
Here's Julius Peppers right here on the end of the line. Clearly in the neutral zone when that ball was snapped.
After a gain of 11, first and 10, Rod Marinelli wants his defense to stay on their side of the field till that ball gets snapped.
And his expertise is on the D-line. He is hot.
Russell Wilson with Peppers chasing to Marshawn Lynch. Ball came out at the end. Looked like Russell Wilson was trailing and picked it up. But I don't know if he was out of bounds before the ball came out.
Well, here's the end of the play here with Lynch, who's already lost a fumble early in this game. Look who punched it out. Charles Tillman with the left hand punches it out. Looked like the ball hit the sideline, the white paint, before Russell Wilson picked it up.
So second down 4 right at the 20-yard line.
Tillman's incredible with that see ball, get ball tactic.
7 forced fumbles this year for Charles Tillman. As Marshawn Lynch has a first down, weaving his way across the 31-yard line. A 12-yard run for the guy who takes pride in being called a smash mouth runner. They go without a huddle, nearing the 2-minute warning. Russell Wilson floats it for Sidney Rice, and he knocks it away. And it was almost intercepted by Major Wright.
And Russell Wilson threw that as some Chicago Bears were getting ready to smash him. And he just puts it up in the air versus that 2 deep coverage, 2 deep safeties. Sidney Rice trying to split him, and he just ends up playing good defense on Major Wright. Trying to rip at that arm. That should have been picked. Major Wright should have caught that.
From the 32 of Seattle.
Could have been a game ender for the Chicago defense.
He's going to keep, and Russell Wilson
got to get out of
gets
bounds.
the first down and then spins out of bounds. An outstanding play for the rookie quarterback.
And I love it because it gives him one more play before the 2-minute warning and another timeout. Very heads up and really kind of a bit of luck as the defender came up to wrap him up. He was able to get out of it and then get out of bounds. See right there, Kelvin Hayden, if he would have wrapped him and kept him in bounds, would have ended up being a big play.
Well, it was is big for Seattle, a 13-yard run, just short of their own 45-yard line.
Hey, 10 triple 55. Ready! Go!
Russell Wilson keeps, tries to get out of bounds, and does. And that'll take us to the 2-minute warning. Both the Bears and Seahawks each have 2 timeouts. The division-leading Bears lead Seattle by 4. Seahawks are 1-5 on the road this year. Look at the margin of defeat, how close they have been away from home. They're on the ropes in Chicago. 2nd and 4 from the 49 of the Bears. Russell Wilson throws incomplete. Here comes a flag over where Sidney Rice was being covered by Charles Tillman.
And Russell Wilson, to me, looked like he was still in the pocket, if not certainly right on the verge of it, as Tillman was pushing on Sidney Rice.
There was no foul for illegal contact. The quarterback was out of the pocket. 3rd down.
And the pocket is the outside leg of the offensive tackle is what really identifies the pocket.
Facing a 3rd and 4. 2 timeouts, and it's 4-down territory. First down, Seahawks, and a flag goes down as Russell Wilson gets thrown down.
Henry Melton just blasted him.
Holding. Offense number 76. 5-yard penalty, still 3rd down.
Russell Okun called for the penalty. Pete is saying, did you see what happened to Russell Wilson? Unbelievable. Pete Carroll, his personality always percolating, but even more so in this game.
And you can see Okung right there to the left with his hand draped around Henry Melton.
So now it's 3rd and 14.
Oh, the old D-line coach and Rod Marinelli loves this. A chance for his defensive line to win this game. With 2 downs to do it.
Doug Baldwin has it. Knocked out short of the 1st down. Back in Chicago territory. Clock continues to run, and now a 4th down for the Seahawks with, again, 2 timeouts. They need 3.
You got Doug Baldwin again at the bottom of your screen.
Pass caught for a 1st down by Zach Miller. A sure-handed grab. Under a minute to play. At the 41 of Chicago. Each team with 2 timeouts. Seattle wasting valuable time here. On the run, Sidney Rice with a catch inside the 15 of Chicago.
He's got to get up and call that timeout.
Pete Carroll came running down the sideline. Seattle will have 1 timeout remaining.
30-second timeout.
Ron Marinelli, the defensive coordinator, just sick that the pocket keeps breaking down in terms of the pass rush. Israel Adonijah takes an inside rush that time, opens up the door right there for Russell Wilson, who's got a good sight line and finds Sidney Rice.
A 26-yard gain, but Russell Wilson, rookie quarterback, calm in these situations. He said this week he'd rather play in a close game than a blowout. He's in a close game.
Timeout, timeout. Look at Pete yelling, timeout, timeout.
It'll be 1st and 10 from the Chicago 14-yard line. Lovie Smith said it's December. the playoffs have started now for the Bears. And Pete Carroll mentioned that if the postseason did start today, the Seahawks, this would be a first-round matchup. They'd be on the road in Chicago. 32 seconds left. One timeout, Seattle.
Give Russell Wilson a lot of credit, Chris. This is the 12th play of this drive.
Golden Tate at the bottom of your screen. Tate has it. He's running inside the 5. He leaps. Touchdown, Seahawks.
Moving on the field is a touchdown.
Unbelievable. He's split down to your right. You can't see him. Golden Tate, he's going to flash into your screen right there. Now it's all yards after the catch. You get a missed tackle right there by Major Wright. You get a missed tackle by Kelvin Hayden. And clearly, Golden Tate had that ball over the goal line before it came out.
Ruled a touchdown
The prior play.
on the field.
Timeout.
Remember, a touchdown pass to Braylon Edwards right before the half. Ruled a touchdown, was overruled after replay. .24 seconds to go. Russell Wilson to Golden Tate, who had to run 10 yards to get into the end zone. Ruled a touchdown on the field, being checked upstairs on the replay.
And I think it will be a touchdown, and it'll stand. Here comes Mike Carey now. About the 3 broken tackles by Golden Tate.
After review, the ruling on the field is confirmed. It's a score. The runner was airborne when the ball block broke the plane.
Russell Wilson, against Lovie Smith's defense, drove his team 97 yards.
Missed tackle. Missed tackle. Missed tackle. Shea McClellan up top, and there's the touchdown.
And now the extra point to give Seattle a 3-point lead. Russell Wilson with his 3rd chance to get a comeback in this his rookie season. The only other road win was at Carolina. But Golden Tate, who runs well after the catch.
And he wasn't earlier in the year, which ends up being really a huge story in their success over the last several games. He is upticked in a big way, getting extra yards after he catches the football. Look, if you're the Bears defensively, it's how you wanted it. Make them throw it up in front of you, come up and make the tackle. They were unable to do that.
We welcome those of you that saw the Chiefs beat the Carolina Panthers with Tim Ryan, Chris Myers here in Chicago, where Golden Tate has just given Pete Carroll and the Seahawks the lead. They led early in the game but trailed here in the second half. Russell Wilson drove his team, the rookie quarterback, 97 yards for the go-ahead touchdown.
And most of it out of the pocket, which was super impressive by Russell Wilson, extending plays. And also Golden Tate, their first touchdown in the first half, he really paced that with that big catch down the sideline on Tim Jennings.
24 seconds remain. There's Jake Cutler, who's thrown 2 touchdown passes. But no Devin Hester today. Earl Bennett left at halftime with a concussion. And a record day, or near record day, I should say, Brandon Marshall with 9 catches and over 100 yards. Eric Weems back to return as he has done for Hester. Don't forget the Lowe's postgame show after we wrap up here. And Weems at the 14-yard line with 20 seconds to play as Cutler will lead the offense. This was moments ago, trailing by 4. They converted an earlier 4th down, and then Russell Wilson's toss to Golden Tate to give Seattle the 17-14 lead. We welcome those of you who have just joined us from the Green Bay win over the Vikings, 23-14. And I know Packer fans care about this because they started the day a game behind the Bears in the NFC North. 2 timeouts for Chicago. Cutler's going to heave it. And there's Brandon Marshall. He gets out of bounds. 9 seconds to play. 66-yard pass play. Jake Cutler avoiding the rush to Brandon Marshall.
How in the world do you ever let that happen if you're Seattle on defense? They never touched him going down the field, and then he just uses that big body. He just turns around and shields off the two defenders, and it looks easy.
10th catch of the game for Marshall, 165 receiving yards as Pete Carroll can only watch. 9 seconds remain. They run to Matt Forte and will use a timeout. And Robbie Gould to try a game-tying field goal.
I think that is a tactical error by their defense and how they called that last one on Brandon Marshall. You got to put 2 guys, maybe 3 guys on him. You know where they're going with the football. He's their biggest weapon. It's not even close.
Robbie Gould has been Mr. Reliable. This will be a 46-yard try to tie the game. If you tuned in, and some of you just joined us a little bit late, it was 14-10 Chicago, but Russell Wilson, the rookie quarterback, drove Seattle 97 yards and a touchdown pass to Golden Tate for the lead. But then Jay Cutler with 24 seconds somehow connecting with Brandon Marshall to set up the field goal try for the possible tie. Robbie Gould has had a few blocks. Adam Pomlish, the holder. The crowd here in Chicago will tell you whether this is good or not. For the tie.
Good snap, good hold, good kick. Field held up. Robbie Gould can't blame the field conditions on anything, good or bad. That was perfect. I tell you, I'm still in shock at how Brandon Marshall ran free as deep as he got on that defense. Give some offensive line of the Bears some credit. You know, they have really protected Jay Cutler well today, as they did on that last play. They put him in field goal position.
And once again, on the road, Seattle's defense, when they needed a stop, they couldn't deliver. 10 catches, 165 yards for Brandon Marshall.
There will be one sudden death overtime period with one exception. If the receiving team kicks a field goal, the kicking team will have an opportunity to possess. Fourth quarter rules are in effect. Replay is up with the booth. Each team will have 2 timeouts. For the toss, heads, tails, what's your choice? Tails, he calls. I'll let it hit the ground. Tails it is.
Well, that's huge. That's huge,
okay,
and considering that Chicago just really got off the field on a 12-play drive a few minutes ago.
This will be the first overtime game this season for both the Bears and the Seahawks.
Look, nobody ever touches him. I mean, he is all the way down the field, untouched, still untouched. Nobody ever touched him, and he came back to the ball. I just don't get it if you're Seattle defensively.
Tim Ryan, Chris Myers, the NFL on Fox here in Chicago, where the Seahawks and Bears are in overtime. Just going over the rules as you heard Mike Carey, our referee, talk about the adjusted rules this year. The 1 15-minute period, and each team gets 2 timeouts. All replays controlled upstairs by the booth. Leon Washington will down it. For rookie quarterback Russell Wilson, he's 20 out of 34, including the go-ahead touchdown pass at the time. The most passes he's attempted in an NFL game is 35. Touchdown to Earl Bennett, who later left with a concussion. That followed a takeaway for Chicago. Marshawn Lynch on the ground to give Seattle the score. Matt Forte catching a touchdown pass. And then moments ago, Golden Tate into the end zone, a 97-yard drive which at the time gave the Seahawks the lead before Cutler rallied the Bears in the Robbie Gould field goal.
Yeah, and with under a minute, that was a 12-play drive. You wonder how much gas the Bears have left in the tank. They're going to need that D-line rotation.
And Russell Wilson keeps and slides at the 30-yard line. We've seen Russell Wilson and Jay Cutler use their legs quite a bit today to shake up these defenses. Two of the NFL's top 3 defenses coming into play. It is a first down from the Seattle 30.
And if I'm Seattle, Darrell Bevell offensively, look, your run game's wide open still here in this overtime period. But when I'm throwing it, I'm moving Russell Wilson outside the pocket. His ability or inability to throw from inside the pocket has not been good today.
Gould and Tate at the top of your screen as they run to Marshawn Lynch, who's up just short of the 45-yard line.
I think they're challenging the stamina of that Bears defense after that 12-play drive. We've seen a couple of linebackers, the first read zone play with Russell Wilson out on Briggs. Briggs was on the ground, and then the same thing here. You got a lot of Chicago Bears that are playing high and not making that initial stop at the line of scrimmage. You wonder how much gas they have left.
First down from the 45 of Seattle. Lynch this time is bottled up. Some of those aging stars of the Chicago Bears, seems like they've been there forever. Lance Briggs, a 10-year veteran. Brian Urlacher at age 34. Julius Peppers. When I asked Brian Urlacher about how much longer he wanted to play, he said, if we win the Super Bowl, bye-bye. Otherwise, another year or two if I can still compete.
Yeah, and I think he's going straight to the Hall of Fame 5 years out of the league. Brilliant career.
Right now, he's just worried about keeping the Seahawks on their side of the field.
Just remember, Craig Stelz is out there at safety for Chris Conte, who was lost early in this game to illness.
Wilson floats one incomplete. There's a flag down in the secondary.
Before the snap, delay, offense, 5-yard penalty, goes second down.
The penalty will back up the Seahawks. Lovie Smith's Bears had a 4-point fourth-quarter lead, but with 24 seconds to go, Seattle scored the go-ahead touchdown, and then Robbie Gould a game-tying field goal. We welcome those of you who have joined us. Tim Ryan, Chris Myers, Jamie Maggio down on the field. First overtime game this year for the Seahawks and the Bears. Second and 15 from the Seattle 40.
We'll get it to Sidney Rice, top of your screen.
If he has time, that's Michael Robinson, the fullback, who fights hard for extra yardage into Chicago territory. Remember, a field goal doesn't win it.
He just ran over
Tim Jennings is down, the leader in interceptions this season with 8. And a league-high 18 passes defended coming in.
Now, this will be a huge loss for them and their ability to defend the pass. And Michael Robinson basically just lowers his head and lowers the boom on Tim Jennings.
It'll be 3rd and 2. The 5'8" corner of the Bears, Tim Jennings, being helped up after the Michael Robinson play. Zach Bowman likely would come in as his replacement.
And this is just a big-time collision as Robinson lowers his head, able to pick up the extra yards. And you could see as Jennings was ejected out of that collision that right away Michael Robinson knew he was hurt and got up and was concerned at his health. And look, Zach Bowman comes in, but the caliber of player is not even close. Jennings is having an unbelievable season and has really done his part in shutting down his side of the field today as a coverage man.
There's been one turnover in this game. It was an early fumble by Marshawn Lynch. 3rd and 2 in overtime. Remember, the field goal doesn't win it. Russell Wilson has a first down. What a performance by the rookie quarterback from Wisconsin, drafted in the 3rd round, who led his team back in the final moments and now must lead his team in overtime. The Bears Came in with the division lead in the NFC North. The Packers have won already.
And you can see they're tired. That Bears defensive line, they're breathing hard. It's been a long end of the game for them.
Marshawn Lynch fights through a couple of tacklers. Russell Wilson through the air is 21 out of 35 with a touchdown pass, but on the ground.
Well, it's just been his legs to extend plays, either as a runner or just tucking it as a thrower. Or, excuse me, tucking it in and becoming the runner. And he's been very, very effective today. The pocket hasn't held up for him. I think the thing that makes him so good is he's always challenging the line of scrimmage with the pump fake like he's going to throw it, which holds defenders back and buys them time.
Second down, 7. Hesitation there, but Lynch takes it from Russell Wilson. It was almost as if he didn't want to give it to him.
Look at Nate Collins and all those Bears trying to rip that football out.
For those of you tuning in around the country, here in Chicago, we welcome you with Tim Ryan and Chris Myers.
Look at all the hands on the hips for those Bears defenders. Even Urlacher standing right in the middle. I mean, that's the classic sign if that heart rate's up to about 180. Look at all of them.
On third down and 4. Wilson has room to run. And again, a first down and in field goal range as he goes out of bounds. The Seahawks won the coin toss for overtime. They've had the ball nearly 5 minutes.
Yeah, and again, I mean, obviously their ambition already in field goal range is to score a touchdown. They score a touchdown, this game's over. And I love all the edge plays. Russell Wilson making plays with his legs, going one way, turning back and going the other, making all those Bears change directions and just don't have a lot left in their legs.
70
chase mode.
Excuse me, Tim. 70 yards rushing for Russell Wilson after the 12-yard pickup. Marshawn Lynch has run for 89 yards with a touchdown. Lynch getting a couple there. Russell Wilson has equaled his NFL high of 35 pass attempts. He's completed 21. One road win at Carolina, but Seattle 1-5 on the road this year.
I'll tell you what's amazing, and all 8 of his interceptions have come on the road. He has none in this football game. But he was the highest rated quarterback through the month of November, and every week this rookie third-round pick gets better and more polished.
Marshawn Lynch met hard at the 25 and knocked backward. Henry Melton with the tackle.
And Shea McClellan really played it well also, the right end. And they have him on an inside stunt. He and Henry Melton on that stunt together, both shot inside. Russell Wilson should have kept that one.
Remember, I repeat myself, new audiences are joining us, Tim, but with the overtime rules, the first possession here, a field goal does not end this game. So the Seahawks have to be thinking we'd love to get a touchdown and just put an end to it. But you don't want to lose field position on third down. Russell Wilson has it to his left. Throws, and sideline catch is made by Doug Baldwin for a Seahawk first down. Russell Wilson, so calm for a rookie, and said he lives for these situations.
Well, the Bears really are scheming themselves right out of the inability, in my opinion, to close down the edge on Russell Wilson. They had all their defensive lines slanting inside that time. They were slanting left, and Russell Wilson was going to his left, the opposite direction, which bought him all that open space.
Tim Jennings, they are x-raying him for a shoulder injury. You saw Brian Urlacher come off the field.
Pete Carroll wants that play clock reset because of the Urlacher injury walking off the field.
It is 1st and 10 Seahawks. Their opening possession of this overtime period.
25 seconds on the game clock. Start the play clock and the game clock on the wire.
Doug Baldwin got away with a little bump there. But again, I just think the Bears are out of gas on that long drive at the end of the game. And you can just see a lot of guys are falling down and spending time on the ground. Can't make plays on the ground.
Hey, Texas. Go!
Russell Wilson throws. Sidney Rice. Game over. Russell Wilson to Sidney Rice. And Mike Carey saying we ruled it a touchdown on the field.
Well, Sidney Rice just got absolutely blasted. I hope he's all right. If he had that ball in his hand as he crossed the goal line, this game is over.
The ruling on the field is touchdown, but the health of Sidney Rice of primary concern.
And he just got smashed by Major Wright. You see it right at the top of your screen. There it is. Now as he turns to get over the goal line.
The runner was diving for the goal line, broke the plane in the end zone for a score before the ball came loose.
And it sure looked like it there that the ball was over the plane before the Major Wright hit, knocked it out. This will be the defining look right here.
And you can see the official. It's a tough call, but he steps in and has his arms up for touchdown.
Yeah, that ball's over the plane. Touchdown. This game's over.
A 12-play, 80-yard drive. Sidney Rice being helped from the field. And Wilson from 13 yards out.
I'll tell you, there is something special about Russell Wilson. And the belief in him and his belief in himself is we see it every week. He's better and better.
It's the year of the rookie quarterback with Robert Griffin III and Luck and Tannehill. But in the third round, Russell Wilson, a 97-yard drive to take the lead. And now this for the overtime touchdown. Mike Carey going to take a look.
I tell you, I really believe winning the coin toss going into overtime was such a huge factor after that 12-play drive, really in the that finished in the last minute of the game with a Seattle touchdown. And then, of course, Chicago was able to come back with the deep one to Brandon Marshall. They kick a field goal, they tie it up. But the Bears losing the toss, having to go right back on the field and face a scrambling quarterback with all the keepers in the edge plays. I think it was pretty obvious they didn't have a lot of stamina left in their legs or their lungs.
Third straight year for non-division opponents here that the Bears have played host to the Seahawks. And Seattle, if this touchdown stands, will win all three. Fourth straight year they've played each other. Fourth different starting quarterback for the Seattle Seahawks. But this is how rookies make a name for themselves. There was a play right before the half where Braylon Edwards was ruled a touchdown in the end zone for Seattle, but overturned when they said he didn't scoop it cleanly underneath, that it hit the ground. We have our rules analyst, Mike Pereira, former head of NFL officials, with Tim Ryan, Chris Myers, and Mike, if you could just give us your view of the touchdown to Sidney Rice.
Well, let me tell you what they're looking at. I mean, there's obviously this is a play that decides the game, and it is a scoring play, so they're going to look at it just to confirm. But I think, you know, a couple things they're going to look at. Did the ball break the plane? There's no question about that. The one thing that they will look at, too, is was he going to the ground on his own? And if that is the case, without making a football move, then he's got to hold on to the ball. But remember what they said. It was ruled that he completed the catch and then dove to the end zone before the ball came loose. So what you've got to do is prove that that's not the case.
After review, the ruling on the field stands. The score, the game is over.
Touchdown, Russell Wilson to Sidney Rice. The Seahawks win on the road here in Chicago. Russell Wilson, who celebrated his 24th birthday on Thursday, rallies the Seahawks and celebrates a victory at Soldier Field. We'll have more from Chicago.